emulate the taste of like non-chicken nuggets. So these nuggets are made from chicken, but they're made to emulate the taste of non-chicken nuggets. Dope.
Oh, that's much better.
Edit all the blather out of your videos because my time is very precious.
Oh, that's fire.
Make it less teal and more
Cerulean? Sure.
Replace your background with something more fun? The cold void of outer space.
Let's boost that sound quality. Emulate the taste of non-chicken nuggets. Emulate the taste of non-chicken nuggets. Dope.
It needs more style. It needs more clips, more gifs, more. Well, I might have made it too gnarly.
Hello, welcome to Descript 101. Hi, Harmony.
Hey, Christiana, how's it going?
It's going great. I'm so excited to be here with you and with our audience. Welcome, everyone. So excited to have you here for the next 90 minutes with us, where we are going to learn the basics of Descript. And Harmony, you are our customer success manager here, and you're going to be our guide for today. Thank you for always sharing your expertise with me and the crowd.
Of course, I love doing these with you. It's always nice to see like what type of questions people have, especially the new folks. We want to try and make it as easy as possible for you to get onboarded, so we're here to help.
Absolutely. Yes. These are always a highlight of my day when we get to do them. So, everyone in the chat, please let us know where you're tuning in from and tell us what you make with Descript. Tell us about your podcast or your videos, how you use us at work. We want to know. It's been a busy time for us over the last few weeks. We've been on sort of an AI drop extravaganza. Maybe some of you folks have checked that out. And Harmony, I'm wondering what your favorite new AI feature we've dropped has been.
Yeah, so it was a cool moment. I got to meet with one of our enterprise customers the other day, Pacific Content, and I had asked them, what do you wish AI could do for you in Descript? And they said, oh, I would love to like have it look at the transcript and create show notes. And I was like, well, guess what? I think this is actually coming in our next release. So I was able to show that live. I'm
awesome.
loving the show notes generation. Also, just like the sort of auto summarization of a conversation, be able to take that, pop it in like a YouTube description. I think it's just such a nice and easy way to pull that without having to like go through and like write it up yourself.
100%.
What about you?
Yeah, I love all the new AI actions. Maybe we can give a little peek at those today. And we basically completely rebuilt Overdub as well, which is our voice cloning feature for anyone that's not familiar. And it just sounds so much better and so much more realistic. So I'm loving that as well. Yeah. But we'll send some links in the chat for you to check out all the new features we've dropped. We'll talk about them probably a bit later today. But I guess without further ado, I should do some housekeeping really quick. How's that sound?
Sounds great.
All right, let me share my screen. So in Descript 101, this is what we are going to cover today. We'll show you how to import and transcribe your media and also how to record right in Descript. We'll talk to you about Squadcast, our new remote recording feature, and show you how to record right in the Descript app. We'll talk about scenes, which is really at the core of video editing with Descript. We'll walk you through how to use those. We'll show off the stock media library, which is jam-packed with videos and GIFs and images that you can use royalty-free in all of your projects. Harmony's going to talk us through the different modes in Descript: edit, writing, and correcting. And then, of course, we'll hit editing your script, how to edit the timeline, and then the canvas. So the canvas is the visual element of what you see. You'll learn how to edit all of those things. We'll touch on templates, and then, of course, how to get your stuff out of Descript and shared with the world, publishing and exporting. Here are some best practices for your viewing experience today. If you're in Crowdcast, we've got a Q&A box. Our support hero, Marcelo, is in there, and he will be answering all of your questions. He knows everything about Descript. So if you've got a technical question, anything like that, throw that in the Q&A and he'll get you covered. And then use the chat for reactions, chatting, commentary, etc. Us, the moderators, can move your questions if you throw them in the chat to the Q&A. So if you're like, hey, where'd my question go? Check the Q&A. I probably stuck it over there for you. If we freeze, refresh your browser. That normally does the trick. But we are also streaming to YouTube right now. Hello to everyone on YouTube. We see you too. We're monitoring your chat as well, so you can throw your chat and your questions in there. But feel free, Crowdcast folks, to jump over to YouTube instead if this is getting rough. Marcelo, if you could send that link in the chat, that would be awesome. If you want more help after this or during this, help.descript.com is your best friend. That's our help center. That's also where you can submit tickets to get in touch with our support team. I'm there every day learning something new. So definitely check that out. And then last but not least, please join our Discord community for community support. We've got over 16,000 people in there now, which is amazing. You can ask questions of your peers or the Descript team. We give out monthly giveaways when you share stuff that you made with Descript. It's just an awesome place to be. So please join us over there. And then last but not least, what's an event without a promo code? If you are a free user right now or you are a new user, maybe you're brand new to Descript, we want to hook you up with free Descript for a month. If you use code LIVE30 at checkout, or you can scan that and the link will take you to the checkout and you'll get a month of free. So try that out. Don't feel like you have to rush to write all of that down because we will follow up with this information in a follow-up email, and I'm going to send it in the chat right now. So, and I'll bring this up again in a little bit. Okay, that's our housekeeping. I want to emphasize that this is recorded. So if you need to jump out early, no worries at all. We will send this out after via email, and it's going to live on YouTube right away. So you can also just go hang out on YouTube right after. Great. Okay. I think that's all of my housekeeping. Harmony, anything else you want to mention before we jump in?
I don't think so. Yeah, and shout out to Marcelo. Thank you in advance for answering any and all questions in there. But we'll be happy to take some live questions too as we get into it.
Yes, forgot to mention that. I will be watching the chat as well, or the Q&A, and when the time is right, I'll be saucing some questions to Harmony live, which is always a blast.
Yay.
Okay, cool. Well, I'll hand it over to you, and let's learn some Descript.
Awesome. Well, first off, for brand new folks, welcome. You may be wondering, like, okay, I've got myself into this video editing app. What can it really do for me? So, for brand new folks, in a nutshell, Descript is a collaborative audio and video editor that works a lot like a Word doc, and it has a ton of AI infused tools that speeds up workflows and can make you and your team more efficient. So excited to show you around today. With that, let me go ahead and share my screen and let's get into it. All right.
Oh, and Ariel on our community team is in the chat too. Shout out Ariel.
Amazing. Hey, Ariel.
Cool.
Awesome. So what are we looking at here? This is what we call the Drive view. So if you've just created a Descript account, you've logged in, this is where you're going to land. I like to think of this kind of as your bird's eye view of everything that you've got going on in the account, kind of like a lot like a Google Drive. So it's pretty simple. Over on the right, all of your folders and all of your content, and then some filtered views over here on the left, which we'll cover. So essentially with on the right where you create all of your projects, you can set up folders, create nested folders. So if you're working on a narrative show, it might make sense to create a folder for that show and then a project per episode. So just kind of good housekeeping in terms of how you set up your initial folder structure is definitely recommended. And you can always move stuff around once you've created a project. You can click on the ellipses here and then move it to either a different drive or a different folder. So easy to move stuff around if needed. You can also star certain folders or yep, and then it'll stick to your left side nav. So for frequently viewed and access folders, you can do that. it'll stick over there. One thing that I like, a relatively newer feature to this view is we've got a list view, which is the default, but you can also switch to the grid view. This is nice, especially if the majority of your content is video content. That way you'll see these really nice thumbnails here, and then you'll be able to click and jump into that project. But since I've got a relatively brand new drive, I'm going to keep it in the list view. But just know that you can always snap between those two. And then over here on the left, you've got, in this case, I'm in this live events drive. You can have access to more than one drive. So for me, let's say this is my personal drive, but I also have access to Jay's drive and a couple other test drives. So I can move from these different sort of isolated accounts from one to another. So it's a nice way to kind of toggle between those different accounts. This projects tab, this will just show recent projects that I've had opened, and I can sort by name and filter by duration, size, owner, and so on. I'm just getting started here. So I just got my one project. And then right below the quick recordings, this is one of the things that I really love about Descript. So you can ingest audio and video, but you can also record directly into Descript. So you can do an audio recording, a video recording, or a screen recording. And we'll also talk about Squadcast, which is newly partnered up with Squadcast, which is a professional remote recording tool. Great replacement for Zoom and remote recording solutions. Christiana, anything I haven't mentioned so far? I was going to talk about AI speakers and templates next.
That was the only thing I was going to say.
Okay.
Is you can't forget about those two goodies. So yeah, that's perfect.
Cool. So I just had a customer asked about this the other day. They said, "Hey, is AI speakers replacing overdub, or what's the difference here?" So yes, overdub has had a slight facelift. I'll say we're calling it AI speakers now. So this is our text to speech feature, and you can create custom voices. You can also utilize our stock voices as well. We've got about 10 of those that you can use, and this makes it super simple to keep content up to date. So if you've recorded something and you said November 6th, and you actually meant to say today, November 7th, you can just go in and correct it in your voice. Makes it really nice to keep content evergreen. We've also got templates. So templates is a really nice way to take your branded assets, so logos, fonts, colors that you essentially want to templatize. And I'll get into how we can create one of these. We're going to create one from scratch and then apply it to your project. And then the last thing I want to talk about is just this concept of what we call workspaces. So the private workspace sounds exactly like you see here. It's private to you and you only. And so if you invite other members to your drive, so for example, if Christiana's on this drive as well, if I put something in this live events workspace, we'll be able to view those projects together. We'll be able to edit together, comment. So anything that's in this workspace we'll be able to collaborate on. And then anything that's in the private workspace is going to be private to me and me only. This is something that sometimes folks always get a little bit tripped up on. If you have something that you accidentally dropped in your private workspace, you can also move it from one workspace to another as well. So if I wanted to take that from the public workspace and move it to my private, I could do it and vice versa.
I'm always doing that. I'm always like, no one should see my raw video until I've edited it. Like,
I have, one too many screen recordings where I mess up and
right.
the camera takes the brunt of it.
Yep.
Yep. Cool. One other thing I want to just mention before we get into talking about creating projects is setting up your app settings. So if you go up to the top right-hand corner, you'll see your avatar or your initials. If you haven't added a profile picture, go into settings. And in the general tab, this is where you can do a couple different things. One is setting a default project type. So if the majority of your content is primarily audio based or video, you can set that default project type. Don't worry, you can always override this on a per project basis, but if you're doing like 90% audio projects, I would set this to audio. You can also set a default transcription language. So we do transcribe in, I think, 23 languages now. Is that right, Christiana?
That's correct. Yes.
Awesome. And we have a couple additional languages in beta. We have a beta program folks can try out if you'd like. So you can set your default transcription language. And you can always ask before transcribing if you want to be able to select a different language. You can set your theme from light to dark or set it to system. I'll leave it on light for today. And then there's also some advanced settings here. So Descript will, if you have these toggled on, do some automatic volume leveling. This one is really cool. It'll use room tone on gap clips. So what this will do is it'll create AI generated room tone based on the files that you've uploaded into your project. It's pretty cool. And then there's some other settings you can configure down here. So just wanted to point that out before you get started. And then once we get into a project, there's some recording settings that you can also set so that you can record up to 4K. You can have a countdown and some additional settings there. But let's talk about the project prompts here. So when you select new, this is when you're ready to create a project. So you're either ready to start recording or start pulling in some pre-existing audio or video content. So you can select video project, audio project, quick recording, which will just launch a recording that you'll start. And then the last one is the remote recording option. And I'll talk a little bit about Squadcast real quick. So Descript acquired Squadcast. What was it, like a couple months ago, Christiana? Now or
Yes, we announced it in August.
August? Oh man, so time is really flying by.
Yeah.
So we're super excited about this, and so phase one of this is if you click on remote recording, you'll be sent to open up a browser, and that will launch Squadcast, and it'll launch essentially what they call a session, and so you'll be able to go into a green room. You kind of do like a quick like mic check and visual check. You can even do add some additional configuration as far as the mic and camera that you're using, and then that'll open up a session. And then the really great thing about this is as soon as you're done recording, you have an option to bring it right into Descript. So there's an edit in Descript button. It'll bring all of your files over. It'll automatically create a project, start transcribing for you, and it's kind of like magic. But yeah, that's how you get a project going. For today, I already have one set up, so I'm going to jump into that real quick.
Awesome. Can I make a
And
note on Squadcast? Did
please,
you
yeah.
already say the best part that it's free with Descript?
I did not. That
Okay.
yeah.
It's easy to miss that because it feels so crazy. But yeah, like just to paint this picture more, it used to be two separate companies. So if you wanted a remote recording tool and Descript, you'd pay for Descript and this other thing. And now Squadcast is just included in the same price that you pay for Descript. So definitely check it out. Right now, we're still in a stage where you have to have 2 accounts and you just link them. We can throw some information on how to do that in the chat. It took me 5 seconds. It's great. And then you get really high quality remote recording. So,
and this is a good moment. So I'm not the drive owner of this account. So whoever owns the account is able to go into the subscription tab, and you'll see a little connect to Squadcast button. And that's all it really does. It'll open up a tab, you'll say connect it, and then you can add your team members to the Squadcast account.
Exactly. Yeah. Yep. It's easy peasy. So highly recommend checking that out. If you are recording anything remotely, it is awesome.
Absolutely. I'm using it now just to replace Zoom. Like when I need to get into meetings, I'll just create an instant session, jump in, and then I can record if I want. You can screen share. So yeah, pretty magical.
Yep. That's awesome. Cool. And I see some Squadcast questions popping up. I'm gonna throw those into the Q&A for Marcelo to hit, since we're talking. We got a lot of ground to cover, but maybe we can come back to those later. But Ariel and I have done quite a few Squadcast events in the past. You can check all of those out on YouTube for Squadcast 101s. And we have one upcoming in a couple weeks, so I'll share that invite as well.
Awesome.
Okay. Sorry to
No, that's great.
derail.
No, well, and it's a great place to get started too, especially for folks that are
Yep.
kind of like getting started figuring out their tech stack. Better to know
Mhm.
now than, start paying for a few months of something else. And
Yep.
now the good news is that yeah, you can consolidate into Descript and Squadcast.
Exactly. Yes, yes, yes. And I'm going to send that invite in the chat right now.
Outstanding. Well,
Cool.
cool. So getting back to creating your first project. So when you create a new project, you'll get this. It's kind of like a blank document or blank canvas that you can get started with. Um, you'll notice that you've got essentially two panes here. So one on the right, this is what we call the canvas, and this is where you're going to see your video playback once we ingest something. And then over here on the left, this is I'll just title this based on the files that I'm going to bring in. It's going to be a short interview. Um, there's a couple different ways you can get started. So you'll see this option to add a file, and then you just simply pull these off your desktop or the destination that you're bringing them in from. You can also start recording. So I love using this for quick video messaging. That's how I use the recorder. But I also use it for like tutorials, and sometimes I'll bring in like long like webinars, cut it down to shorter versions. So it's kind of nice. With a recorder, you can do audio only. You can do a camera recording, and you can also do a screen recording. And you'll notice here you have some options to configure your webcam, your microphone. You can add your name here. And then, like I said, go into the settings to make sure that you're got all of those default settings the way you want them. I like having the countdown personally, and then make sure you're recording up to 4K. I also like having the option to highlight the clicks when recording, so that'll show that on screen. So just want to point those out. And then the last one is ask AI to rate. So this is kind of one of the newer features here. So should I give this a test, Christiana?
Yeah, let's do it.
What should we prompt it with?
We could say, give us a script about what fall is like in New York City.
Love it. About what fall is like in New York City. Give us a 1 minute. Should I?
Yeah, let's keep it nice and short.
Okay. Let's see what we get. And so usually, yeah, you'll get a little prompt saying, okay, this is yeah, it'll kind of tell you it's thinking. And then I love that it picked up on some of the pre-existing speakers that I already had in here. So we'll get to that in a second. So
Mhm.
this is kind of nice. All right. All right. It's pretty good.
handy.
Pretty good. So the nice thing is that you can add this to an existing script, or you could copy it to your clipboard and add it to an existing composition. So, you know, by no means is this meant to replace you and your team. Just a little inspiration to get started if you've got writer's block.
Yes.
So just wanted to point that out as
Totally.
a means to get started. But for the purpose of today, let's bring in some pre-existing video. So I've got a couple files here on my desktop, and this was actually recorded in Squadcast. So the beauty of recording in Squadcast is that each speaker will be recorded separately on their own track. And so this really comes in handy later on when you're editing. So you'll have the ability to go in and remove things like crosstalk and background noise. So you'll just select the two files, drop it right here on the left, and that'll kick off the transcription process. So this is kind of like layer one of the onion in Descript, is that in order to edit your media, we need to transcribe it first. So in this case, I'm going to hit transcribe. And this second step is what we call speaker identification. So once we get a transcript back, we want to be able to see who's speaking when. So in this case, I know that this is Marilyn based on my file naming convention. But if you're unsure, you can always listen back and then yeah, figure out who's speaking. So I'm going to label that Marilyn, and that's Petra. And then this is an important step too here. So this will be by default checked off. This is combining these two files into what we call a multi-track sequence. So it's basically pairing these two files into a container. And I'll show you what the sequence view looks like. But basically what this is doing is creating a single script now that I can start editing from. But under the hood, I actually have both of these tracks paired here. So I can see who's speaking when. And if I need to go in, I can do some more precise edits in the sequence view, but just wanted you to see like what's actually happening under the hood here. Cool. Let's see here. Should I just play a little bit of this back and make some quick edits here?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right. Let's see here. Make this a little bit bigger here.
1. We are officially recording now. So we are recording. My name is Marilyn Moser. I am the Influencer Marketing Manager here at Descript, and I am
cool. So let's talk about like some of the surfaces that we're seeing here real quick. So over here on the left, this is our transcript, and we'll see who's speaking when with our speaker labels here. And this is where I generally will do about like 80 to 90% of my edits. So that's kind of like surface number 1. Surface number 2 is the canvas here. So I can go in, and if I select either of these layers, I can do things like adding effects. So we have a green screen effect. We can do color adjustments, all of these wonderful things we'll get into. Then down below, we have the third surface, which is our timeline. And you can show or hide this. So you can see that option to show or hide. You can stretch this out. You can zoom in to get really precise. And you've got all of these great tools here to select specific range. You have the blade to create edit points, make cuts, the range tool, or slip tool, hand tool. We'll get into all of these. And then the one other surface I want to talk about is what we call our scene rail here. So scenes, and the way I describe them is a lot like slides in a Google presentation or even a PowerPoint. So you're able to create discrete segments in your video and then layer in different visual elements. Christiana, how is that? Do you feel like that's an accurate way of describing scenes?
Yep. Yeah. I think that's great. I like in my head when I'm editing, think of them as individual containers, and it allows you to just sort of customize the different things, the different elements that you're putting in those containers, whether for the visual part of your video. But yeah, slide deck is kind of a great metaphor for how to think about these things.
Awesome. So I was going to show folks just how easy it is to create a scene, but are there any questions that have popped up so far that we want to try and address?
We could hit a couple real quick if that works for you.
Yeah.
You mentioned 4K recording earlier. Could you just define what 4K means?
Oh, sure. So let's see. In terms of so 4K resolution, right?
Mm-hmm.
So things usually come. I'm trying to think. Looking up the standard. Usually, you can only record up to like what is it, 720 or 1080p, right?
Right.
So it's exactly 4 times the pixel count of like a full HD display, which is I think typically like 1920 by 1080 pixels. I hope I'm saying this right. So gut check me on this, Christiana.
No, you're right. So far, yep. Basically just good. The clear higher is like more clear. So yeah, it's the recording quality setting. We recently just launched 4K recording in Squadcast. It's just like that crystal clear stuff.
Exactly.
And yeah. So you crushed it.
So it's kind of like I like to refer to it as like the standard now for video quality. So it's kind of near the highest point that you can go with overall video quality settings.
Cool. Yeah. Thank you, Harmony. And then maybe one from YouTube really quick.
Yeah.
So you showcased like editing the words in your script, but Someone on YouTube asked, rather than editing the words, can you also remove unwanted sounds?
Yeah, absolutely. So this is actually a good reason to work in the timeline specifically. So in the case of where, let's say we hear a cough or a dog bark in the background or something like that. So let me, so for example, here, there's a little bit of silence.
She's coming.
So let's say like here, maybe that we had like a dog bark in the background. So what you can do is if you grab onto this word bar here, you can click and drag left and then shorten that up so that you're either getting rid of that unwanted sound and just shortening up that gap. Another way you can do this is if you go, I'm going to double click to get into the sequence. And so in this case, I actually, maybe we just want to get rid of that audio there. So we can highlight it, delete, and you can do that from the sequence view. So there's a couple different ways you can do that.
Perfect. Cool.
Cool.
All right.
Should we do some scenes?
Yeah, let's do it.
Cool. All right. So Marilyn here, who's on Descript's team, she's interviewing Petra, a wonderful musician from New York. And so she's saying she's coming to us today from New York City where she performs. And so I want to see some New York City here. We were talking about New York earlier. So let's I'm gonna just I like adding I like hitting enter to get a paragraph break before I add a scene. That's just my
Same.
preference. You don't have to do that. But you're just gonna add a slash and you'll see that that now has added a second scene. And so to create the other side of the container, I'm going to add one more slash here because I want to see just some New York B-roll just right there on that particular sentence. You could add something that you already have on your computer, but I'm going to pull something from our stock media library. So if you go up here to the media icon, this is broken into two different sections. You'll first see files, which is where all of our raw, unedited files are stored for this project. So you'll be able to access those here. And over on the right, this is where our embedded stock media library is. And this comes with your Descript subscription, which is really awesome. You get unlimited usage of this with our Pro plan. So you have videos, GIFs, images, audios, and audio includes music and sound effects. So in this case, I'm going to go into the videos and let's find something that's New York. Let's see here. Ooh, that's cool. Okay, I'm going to select that one and I'm going to bring that just onto that scene there. And you can add, when you're doing this, you can do this a couple different ways. You can select the scene and then just drop it onto that particular scene, or you can drop it onto the script. So there's always a couple different ways to do the same thing in Descript. So your preference here. So you'll see now in the timeline that the B-roll has only been added for that discrete segment. So let's go from here.
Friend and musician, wonderful independent musician, Miss Petra Gerard. She's coming to us today from New York City, and where she actually performs, that's where she's based out of.
Cool. And so you can easily, if you don't want it to last that long, you can always go into the timeline, shorten it up, or even extend it over that scene boundary. So that's kind of the power of the timeline too, is you can go in and extend those layers or peel them back as needed. Great. The other thing that I like here is that in the AI actions, you can also use this option to add scenes by active speaker. So if you've pulled something in from Squadcast, or you've done something similar here where you've just imported the files, this will, let's actually go ahead and do this. Now, whenever Marilyn's talking, Marilyn will go full screen. Same with Petra. So now we'll see, let's go from this scene here.
She's coming to us today from New York City, and where she actually performs, that's where she's based out of.
Cool. And then I'll scroll down to when Petra comes on screen.
Get right into it.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me.
Great. So this is kind of a nice way to, be able to have that back and forth. And you can always override it. So if you, let's say on scene 5, you want to have both of them on screen, you can bring back that layer and kind of adjust it so that you've got that like side by side view again. So super easy to kind of come in here and maneuver them around. Let's get them to be about the same size. So there you go. How are we doing, Christiana? Any questions so far?
Doing awesome. I think we're pretty good. We've got some general questions that I think I'll save for Q&A at the end.
Okay.
Yeah, no, I think we're good.
Cool. Well, let's talk a little bit about editing from the transcript versus editing in the timeline, and then also we'll talk about what's going on in the canvas and also over here the properties panel. So
Perfect.
let's make a couple edits here. So the beauty of Descript is that when you remove the text, it also removes the underlying audio and video. So if let's say we just want to have it start here where Marilyn says, "My name is Marilyn Moser," I can just highlight the stuff that I want to get rid of, hit delete, and that has removed that audio and video.
My name is Marilyn Moser. I am the influencer.
Cool. Now, my preference, and Christiana, tell me how you like to work. When creating my first edit, I really like to use the ignore function instead of deleting. I just find it a easy way to track my editorial decisions as opposed to trying to figure out like, where did I delete text? What are your thoughts there?
Totally. Yeah. I feel like my biggest nightmare is I delete something and then I listen to it over later and it doesn't sound well. And I'm like, I can't, or it doesn't sound good. And I can't even remember what I had there before.
Yeah.
So that's where the ignore feature is my best friend for sure.
Definitely. And this is how a lot of teams that I work closely with, their process and workflow is such that they'll bring in their tape, they'll go through and essentially ignore all of the stuff that they don't want, and that kind of allows them to create that kind of first paper rough edit, and then be able to pull selects from there and then either pass it off to an engineer or sound designer that's gonna kind of finally do the final sweetening and editing.
Totally.
Cool. The other thing that you'll notice, so we cleaned up the front of this. You'll also notice that Descript will automatically underline all of the filler words in blue here. So if I right click on this, I see the option to remove filler words, but even better, AI actions remove filler words. So just one click. And you'll see where all of those pop up over here on the right. So you'll see all the search results. And if you want to listen to one of these, let's take a listen to this one.
Talk. For those unfamiliar,
Jump to the next one.
Form, typically short form.
Cool. So in this case, you might not want to get rid of all filler words. So you can click on all filler words and decide which ones you want to keep or toss. I'll leave all selected for now. And in this case, they only have 7. This is pretty miraculous for a conversation, in my opinion.
Impressive stuff.
Really, really. So, and again, instead of deleting, I like using that ignore function. Another really great thing too, another good option is remove from the transcript, but keep it in the audio. So that way it's not, let's say if you want to keep kind of the organic conversation going without hearing anything, clipping, but you get it removed from the transcript. That way you have a nice, clean, tight transcript when you need to export it and like put it in your show notes or upload it into your CMS, wherever that's being stored. So I'm going to ignore it and let's remove all. And let's see how that's sounding. You'll notice that when we listen back, it's going to create a little jump cut.
About how she's bringing her music and her artistry into the space of TikTok. For those unfamiliar, TikTok is an enormous video sharing platform, typically short form videos anywhere from.
Cool. So I'm feeling okay about those edits. Like, I feel like jump cuts are kind of becoming more of a good thing, recently.
They're in style.
They're in style. Yeah. But this is where if you decide, actually, you know what, this I want to bring back, you can just highlight it and unignore. And you can do the same thing. So let's say if you go down into the timeline, I'll make this a little bit bigger. I'm going to zoom in. And so if you're on the select tool, you can just simply select, hit delete, and that'll remove it. But that's kind of the caveat with using the timeline versus the transcript, is that you're not going to see what you've edited out. So the nice thing is that it's a non-destructive editor. So if you come down into the timeline and hover, you'll see that it switches from like a mouse to that longer bar. Click, drag left, and that'll bring that back. So don't worry, even when you get rid of stuff, we'll keep it around for you. And then you can also do something similar. Instead of using the range tool, you could, let's say, use the blade. And if I do that here, now I've created an edit point. So you'll see that this now is its own little clip, and then I could delete it. So a couple different ways to do the same thing. Okay. Let's see here. A couple other things too when you're cleaning up your transcript. Descript generally does pretty good with the transcription. I'll say, like, that it. I remember the first time I said my name, and it tried to like do its best to phonetically spell it, but it was kind of a mess. And Marcelo, of course, yes. Christiana, how did it spell your name, or last name? I should say.
Yeah, my name actually gets the AI gets it correct, which is better than most humans can say. So they've got a they've got a plus there. But I make content about Descript. That's like basically it. And Descript gets Descript wrong.
Yeah.
So that's always fun. It's always just like the letter D and then space script. Yes.
Yeah.
Rebrand alert.
There you go. Thinking about a new logo there.
Right. Free idea for our design team.
Well, so speaking to that, there's a couple things you can do. So lo and behold, it got Petra's last name wrong. So in this case, I can highlight, I can highlight that word, and you'll see that the script toolbar that comes up. So we're kind of familiar with some of these formatting options. So they ignore, italicize, and bold. They're going to see this correct option. And what this will allow you to do is type in the correct spelling, and this will just fix the transcript without affecting the audio or video. And you can get there by using the short key, the C key, and that'll allow you to just fix that transcript. But kind of addressing the larger issue here for common names or terms that the transcription often misses, there's a really neat tool built in. So if you go up to the Descript logo, go to Tools, you're going to see this transcription glossary. And so even if you just put in names, this is a great way to train the AI, make it smarter. And so once it's been added here, you're kind of one and done. And then at that point, you might just need to use that C key every now and then for when and if it messes up. Anything else around kind of like overall transcription accuracy or transcription cleanup, Christiana, that I should mention?
No, I think that you got it. Maybe did you hit on removing word gaps, or like that's always something that I use probably every day, or just like shortening up those silences a bit.
Totally. That's such a good call out. And I think, especially on like interviews that you're doing or recordings, there's always little pauses that you might need to get rid of.
Totally.
And so there's a way to kind of programmatically do this. So my favorite way is, let's go to AI actions, and we're going to shorten word gaps. And so in this case, oh, look at that. Nothing longer than, let's see if we have anything shorter than or longer than 2 seconds. Nope. 1 second. Okay, cool. So we have a couple moments where there's a gap of 1.2 seconds and 1.5. So let's shorten those down to 1 second. I probably, like, if I was editing this, I probably actually wouldn't do that. 1 second is going to be pretty fast. So
Right.
I'd probably like generally say like search for anything longer than, what do you say, like 4 to 5 seconds.
Something like that. Yeah. If it's a podcast conversation, I think that's right. My use case for this, and folks in the chat, let me know if any of you do this sort of work, but I make demo videos where they got to be quick because they're for social media. So I gotta make sure they're nice and tight. And so I really don't leave any space. And so I normally go anything longer than 0.5 shorten that up for me. And
Mm.
it's really handy when you just have your rough cut, because sometimes you're like, okay, what do I do next again? You know, you have you're going through the roughness of getting through your demo, and this shortening the word gaps really, really helps me.
Totally. And you can also do this from kind of manually from the timeline too. So as we showed earlier, you can just click on that word bar and just tighten those up. So that's kind of like a nice way of doing it on an individual basis if you want to just do like quick little cleanup here and there. So that's shortening word gaps. But this is a really nice way of doing it kind of very quickly and then going in and kind of massaging like particular moments later on.
Totally.
Cool. So a couple other things too, when working through your transcript, there might be some like really lovely key moments that you want to repurpose later on. And so for example, if I know I'm going to be handing off a couple social moments to Christiana later on, I might let me tag. If I highlight this paragraph, I can use this comment option. So let me show you how I got there again. So I'm going to play this real quick. Okay, all good. Let's do a quick reload. When in doubt, reload. Get an error.
Unplug it and plug it back in.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But also, this is a good moment to point out when and if you hit any issues, let us know. We're here to help. So in the top right-hand corner, we've got this little question mark. You can use the contact us button. That'll put you in touch with our wonderful, amazing support team. They all have very deep understandings of audio and video workflows. They're here to help. So contact us through there. You can also access our help center through here too. Cool.
Awesome.
So let's get back to that composition I was working on. And I'm going to find here at this moment that I know I want to pull out later. And I can use this comment option here. And if I mention Christiana, I'm just using the @ symbol there. And then that allows you to tag anyone that's on your account. And you can say, should we use for social? And then Christiana will get a notification. Hey, you've been mentioned in this project. Also, if you're using Slack, you can use the Slack notification as well. And Christiana can pop in, watch the clip, respond, let me know like, oh yeah, sure. Let's pull this out. And the really nice thing is that Christiana, as an editor of this account, she can go in and say like, cool, I'm going to take this, highlight it, and then use one of my favorite features. This is what we call duplicate to. What that'll do is it's going to create a new composition. I'm going to open this up. And this is it's a good opportunity to talk about what compositions are.
Yep.
So a composition is kind of like a version or a document of your original source files that you're bringing in. So it allows you to create different versions of your original interview, in this case, interview material. Or if you want, you can bring in completely separate interviews and kind of start to stitch them together in a like almost a reel, if you're putting something like that together. Christiana, I feel like there's 10 different ways to explain compositions. How else would you describe a composition?
Yeah, I think for my purposes, I think of them as like different versions of what I'm sharing per like platform or per purpose. So like I always will have, if I'm making a video, there's my like raw recording, and then I make a composition, and that is my vertical version for TikTok. That is the new one is a horizontal version for YouTube. This is a short clip that I'm sharing with my team, like of highlights from an interview or something like that. So that's a good way to think about them, is like you have your main project that is your piece of media, like the original source media, and then your compositions are just where you make specific edits for your different purposes.
I love it. So, and the nice thing with your compositions is the way to access them is just click on this little like caret here. And then you can dock this list if you want to be able to bounce between multiple compositions. So if you use this dock icon here, that'll just dock it over here on the left. So to Christiana's point, let's actually do exactly that. I'm going to take this clip and I'm going to label this Petra. I'm going to make a vertical version of this. So I'm going to take this and I'm going to go into our canvas now. And this is where you can mess with the aspect ratio and the video settings. So if I click on this, I'm going to turn this into portrait mode. Okay, awesome. Now I'm going to take this composition. I want the same media, the same clip, but I want a square version of it as well for Instagram. So if I hover on that composition, see the ellipses here, I'm going to duplicate it. So same tape that I'm working from. And let's title this square. And I'm going to make this a square here. Okay, cool. And in this case, I might want to stretch this out to fit the full screen, or maybe I want to keep it kind of centered so that when I add captions later or, a progress bar, I have a little bit of room for that. So that's just wanted to get you guys familiar with the concept of compositions. They really come in handy, especially when pulling selections and repurposing longer form content. Cool. Let's see here. So I want to talk a little bit about working in the canvas, which will be a good segue to talking about templates too. But we've kind of talked about already changing the aspect ratio and the video settings, but let's go ahead now. And if I want to take this, I'm going to click on, you'll notice that when I click on Petra, my properties panel updated, right? So in this case, I might want to go into the effects. Let's add green screen. Okay, we're going to apply that. While that's applying, I'm going to add in some captions as well. So I'm going to see this option here. If I click on text, add some captions. Cool. And you'll notice when I add the captions, I also have a layer that's been added down here in the timeline too. Now, if I click on that layer, I can go into the properties panel. I can change the font. I can upload custom fonts, and you can browse Google Fonts too. I can change some formatting, change the size. The style, there's a couple different options here. So I can use classic, or if I use, what happens if I use karaoke? Okay, cool. I can go in and change the fill color, the border, the background. So a lot of customization here. I would say when you're playing with this, just consider your audience and ensuring that it's going to be accessible. So use proper hex colors that's going to come across to your audience cleanly and accessible. Let's also add, since we're creating a little social clip here, let's add a progress bar. So there we go. I can move this around in the canvas. You can pop that up to the top. And so it's kind of coming together here. So let's take a quick listen.
So honestly, the inspiration really came because of the pandemic. As of like March.
Cool. I'm gonna add one more thing. I want to add let's add a waveform. Cool. Put that maybe down at the bottom.
Inspiration really came because of the pandemic.
Cool. Now, if I kind of like how this is shaping up, maybe I want to save this as a template. And if I kind of I kind of call this like build as you go. And so if I like this, I can just right click on this scene card here and save this as a template. And I'm going to create something brand new because I haven't created any templates yet. So let's do that. When you create a template, it's going to open up a new Descript window. All right. And so a template looks a lot like a regular old project. There's just a couple things you have to do in order to use it. So I'm going to title this, this is a Square influencer template. And before you can use it, you need to publish it. And call this V1. And maybe like with the different versions, maybe you want to have a version where you have different color schemes, or maybe the the progress bar and the captions are positioned differently, so you can create, different versions. If you have if you're collaborating with other people on your account, the key here is you want to make sure that you share it with your drive so that it's not private to you only. So I'm going to share that and publish. And I know I've kind of gone down the template rabbit hole, so I want to pause. Any questions so far, Christiana, from folks?
Not on templates, I don't think. We have a couple questions on like adjusting aspect ratio sizes, which you showed off just a bit ago. We could hit that.
Hey, let's do it. So
Okay.
actually, this is a good it's a good example here. So now that I've published that template, if I go in and try to apply it, let's go to, there we go. Now it's saying I need to match the orientation because I built the template as a square and I have this vertical. So the nice thing is that Descript will tell you if you need to match the orientation. So I'm going to do that. And then in this case, I might need to move some of my elements around. You'll see
15th, 2020. I was locked in my bedroom. I felt like
cool. So I might want to kind of move stuff around to kind of fit this. And I could go up here. Maybe I want to change it. I'll change this to a square. There we go. Cool. And so if I just hover here in the top left-hand corner, that will allow me to go in and change the aspect ratio. And when you do that, you're probably just going to need to move your layers around to make sure that they're positioned right. But it's as simple as that. And you can also set, if you go into advanced, you can also adjust from there, your video settings. Let's see here. You can expand the canvas. This is a nice newer feature. So if you want to just kind of have like more of a Canva experience, this is a nice way of doing that. And then to get back, just click on that little icon in the top right-hand corner and that'll snap you back to this view.
I love that feature. I'm always doing that because I'm always squinting my eyes trying to see what my video actually looks like.
Right?
So I've been using that pop out quite a bit.
I love it. And you can always kind of go in and if you hover over the different surface lines, you can move them, make them bigger. Let's say I want to close out that. You can, and then one other setting I like to use, if you go up to view and you can, let's see here, move video, you can move it up to the top. So if that's your preference, you can totally do that. Go ahead and move video. So you can use that setting there too. How are we doing, Christiana? Any questions so far?
No, I think we could hit this question about changing video aspect ratios, if that sounds good.
Yeah.
So someone asked, is there an easy way to make a horizontal video to cover the vertical background other than dragging the corners of the video? And I know that we don't have a specific feature for this, and Marcelo answered this question and said not yet, but we might have a stretch feature coming soon. But something that I use is hitting crop, and when I make a new version, I thought you could show that.
Yeah, absolutely. Let me go into same one. So if you hover over the video itself, you'll get a little tool option here to crop, flip vertically, flip or horizontally, and also crop as well. So let's get Petra back here. And so if I crop, I'll get this nice grid view, and then I can kind of crop as needed, and then I could stretch it out to like fit the full screen. But I use the crop tool all of the time, and then try to reposition and center it.
Yep. Yes, totally. But it's a good feature request. I would personally love something that does this automatically for us. So if that's a feature request you would like, head to our feature request board. I'll send it in the chat, and you can write that and upvote it and all that good stuff.
Absolutely. Yeah, and while we're here, it might there's some things that I'll do to kind of alter the background too. So if you go into the background section, you can change the color of the background. So if you wanted to kind of play around with that, can adjust. And then if you click on the video itself, we can, let's see here. If we go into layout, I like using this option to smooth the edges. So if we click drag, can kind of we'll smooth that out a little bit. You can also just type in the precise number you're going for. There we go. So you can do that in layout. And then in effects, this is also where you can go in and do things like green screen, chroma key, color adjustments, and you can make those adjustments from there.
Cool.
Awesome. So let's see here. So we talked about working in the transcript, talked about working in the timeline, covered a little bit of working in the canvas and making changes in the properties panel. I want to go back to sort of this original interview that I pulled in and cover maybe a few more things in this script toolbar that we haven't covered. There's this option to also highlight, and this is a nice way of pulling together a bunch of different selects. So if I'm going to do one more thing here. So if I create a highlight here, I'm going to do two more. And let's say Christiana was creating highlights in here. So mine could be this sand color, and maybe Christiana's are, let's see here, I'll make one for her too. We'll do violet. And so now the cool thing is I can go up to AI actions and I'm going to copy highlights. And I'll do all highlights. I'm going to create now a new composition because what I want to do here is just pull in those highlights. So I'm going to right click and paste those in. And voila, we've just got those selects. So earlier we showed like duplicating to a new composition, and this is a way to do it for multiple clips at once. So just wanted to highlight those two options there. The selects. Cool. Let's see here. I know we're about an hour in. Christiana, would it make sense to talk about recording a little bit?
We could totally hit recording. Some other things that are coming to mind is kind of doubling down on stock media library stuff. And there's been a couple of requests for showing off how to do intro, outro stuff. Some folks are interested in checking out the eye contact feature. So we could start just hitting some requests if that works with you.
Absolutely. Yeah, maybe so you mentioned stock media. Should we hit on that real quick?
Yeah, maybe we could show off stock media through like adding an intro or an outro or something like that.
Awesome. So I'm going to go ahead and let's go up to the top. I'm going to get rid of that first sentence like we did earlier. And I'm going to create a new scene just to add a little space right before they get into the interview. So if I add a new scene, that'll just create 5 seconds of silence there. So in this case, I want to go into scene 1. And actually, for convenience, I'm going to actually just delete that full first sentence because I don't even need it. So let's do that. Oops. All right. Acting a little funky there. Okay, cool. That's why I like the full paragraph break. Okay. One more for good measure. Okay, here we go. Add a scene, and we'll get rid of this first one. Okay. So here in scene 1, I want to add, I'm going to go into our media icon. And do you want to do some B-roll or an image? What do you think, Christiana?
Yeah, maybe some B-roll with like some music or something.
Yeah. So I'm going to search musician here. And actually, Petra's a vocalist, so I'm going to find. Okay, cool. I like that one. So I'm going to select it, pop it in there. Cool. And let's find some music too. So I'm going to go to the media icon again. We're going to go to audio tab, music, and Petra's kind of, I think, is she an R&B singer or R&B pop kind of?
I think it's like a little fusion of pop and R&B.
Cool. Let's R&B pop. Let's see how our search results do here. Okay. Let's And the nice thing here is that we can take a listen to some of these. So let's take a listen to Excited. Okay, I'm digging that. Let's do it. So I'm going to select it. Cool. And it's adding now. It's added. So notice it's adding it like beyond that first intro. So what I can do is I can shorten that up. So maybe if I don't want it to last the full interview, I can just select here and peel it back so that we hear it maybe right up through like the sort of first intro. So let's take a listen.
My name is Marilyn Moser. I am the Influencer Marketing Manager here at...
Cool. And the nice thing now is that I can go in, I'm going to zoom in and maybe like I can do things like adding a fade so that it'll gradually fade out as Marilyn starts talking. I can also go in and add some volume keyframes so that if I want it to start kind of at a louder decibel and then I want to bring it down, I'm going to add a second one here. Let's bring it down to about here. Let's see how that's sounding.
My name is Marilyn Moser. I am the Influencer Marketing Manager here at Descript, and I am so...
All right, so I want that to start a little bit earlier, so stretch that over.
I am the Influencer Marketing Manager here at Descript, and I am so honored and wonderfully excited to be chatting
So we hear
with
the
my good friend
levels come down.
and musician.
And I probably bring it a little further down, but using the volume keyframes is a nice way to do that.
Awesome.
Cool. And you can do the same thing at the very end. So go to the very end of the interview, add another scene. That'll add an additional 5 seconds. And you could, in this case, maybe we want to say, thank you for joining us. We'll do text. Thank you for joining us. And we could even have like a call to action here too. We could say like link to our socials or link to our show. See you next time. You could even create an AI voice to say this for you too, if you wanted. I can type, but nice way of just typing it in. See you next time.
Awesome.
Cool. Great. So that little bit, going back to the stock media library, it's super simple. Just go into the tab based on what you're searching for, whether it be video, GIFs, images, audio, and just type in the thing that you're looking for. And then you can basically go through and audition them or view them. So if you're looking for a musician, go through and kind of search for what you're looking for. And the source of this is Storyblocks. That's where this media is coming from. So it can be used for personal and commercial purposes. I think the only one that's not coming from Storyblocks is Unsplash. So I know the rights to that is a little bit different, but everything else is coming from Storyblocks.
Cool. Awesome. And the cool thing is you could have like your intro as a scene like we have here and save it as a template, right?
Exactly. So you could right click, save this and call this like intro segment. And you could swap out the image or the if you know you're using the same music all the time. So you could swap out the image with different media. So it makes it super simple to repurpose.
Reuse and recycle.
Yeah.
You know, rinse and repeat. Cool.
Exactly.
Sweet. All righty.
What did you have next on the docket, Christiana? Was it recording?
Yeah, we have some questions about recording. So I think that would be awesome.
Cool. So I did record a little something in here earlier. And the way that I did this, I'll get rid of that first take because I didn't like it. So I can just simply ignore.
Cool.
So the way I set this up, I created a new composition. And you'll see this option. I'm just going to put my cursor down here. See that option to record. You can also go up here to the record button. And I'll do a quick camera recording just so you can see, but you can do the same with the audio or video. And I'm going to go ahead and I'll hit record. And in this case, I have a countdown. So say... All right. Thanks so much for joining us today on Descript's 101 event. Christiana and I, we're so happy to have you, and we'll see you next time. All right. I'm going to push stop. And then you'll see it that it's thinking, it's transcribing. And pretty instantaneously, we've got our transcript back. All right. Thanks so much for joining us today on Descript's 101 event. Christiana and I were so all right, cool. So sure enough, Descript, it didn't it didn't get it quite right. So highlight it, correct it. Cool. And I can also, I'm gonna zap my filler word here. Ignore. So it's that simple. Like once you've recorded something, it kind of go back to some of the earlier concepts we were showing as far as removing filler words, removing those gaps, layering in visuals to support whatever you're talking about on screen. So it's that simple. And I would say like when recording, it's easier said than done, but just, just start recording. Like it's great if you have a script or an outline that you can work from. And if you're worried that you're looking over at a script or outline, you can fix it with our eye contact feature.
Exactly. Yeah.
Is it worth maybe segueing into talking about eye contact, Christiana?
Yeah, well, let's I'll have some questions for you at the end, but yeah, let's show off eye contact real quick.
Okay, cool. So on the clip that I recorded earlier, so if I select that clip over in the effects panel, if I switch on eye contact, this is pretty crazy. Watch this. Oh my gosh. So with it off, with it on. Okay. So with it on, here I'm just going to play this real quick. Welcome to San Diego Music Academy. All right, it's getting stuck a little bit. Let me.
We can see that.
You can see the difference, though. It's very different.
You are looking at the camera. Yeah,
exactly. So it literally takes your eyeballs and adjusts them in your sockets so that it looks like you're looking directly at the camera. Kind of eerie, but kind of cool too.
Absolutely. Yeah, it really helps if you're just making a quick video and you don't have time to memorize a script, because that's really hard stuff. Also, people will bring up teleprompters quite a bit, and if you have one of those, good on you. I think the average person does not. So it's a really handy way to improve your eye contact.
Totally. And there's some really other fun AI features in here, like green screen backgrounds. And so then you could go in and like put yourself, find a photo that you want to, let's see, I want to find a music studio. Okay, not sure what's happening there.
Yeah, what's
oh, okay. This one will do. Let's grab that one. So if I want to have this, what I'll want to make sure that I do once I bring in that layer, I'm going to right click and take that and layer it. I'm going to send it to the back. Cool. And then maybe I might want to adjust the opacity or change the color adjustment, but it's that easy. Flip on the green screen and then put yourself in the space that you want to be in.
It's awesome. Yeah. There's a question on this actually. So maybe I'll throw this your way really quick.
Yeah.
So do we have an option to set a background image while recording? And I think that the answer is no, right?
Yeah, it's not like Zoom where you can set that background image, but don't worry, you can fix it in post.
Yep. Absolutely. And you have more options this way. I think Zoom has, you can upload your own, but in the stock media library makes it so you can be just about anywhere.
Exactly.
And then connected to that, mentioned in Teams and Zoom, we have the option to blur our background or have a different background image. Is this something possible in Descript? So we already covered the background image part, but right now we don't have a blur or like a blur my background setting.
Yeah. What you could do is you could bring in an image kind of like I've done here, and just if you could change the opacity or no blurring of the backgrounds yet.
Awesome. Cool. Yep. But that's a good feature request. Once again, if that's something that you would really like, head to feedback.descript.com
Yep.
and make your case, and our team will check it out.
Love it. What else?
Super cool. Let's see. I think those were our questions on background stuff.
Cool.
We hit eye contact. We hit green screen.
Exporting and publishing?
That, yes. The final one. Yeah.
The final.
How to get your stuff out of Descript. Let's do it.
Let's do it. Cool. So once you've got it, I'll take this clip that we created earlier. And once it's ready to go, you're going to see this publish button here in the top right-hand corner. You've got two options. One is publishing and another is exporting. So let's talk about publishing real quick. There's a number of ways you can publish to different hosting destinations. So you'll see in the drop down, you can one-click publish to YouTube and some other spots as well. I like using the web link option too. The nice thing about the web link is that, like, if I want to send this to Christiana and be like, hey, can you give this a quick review, see if it's ready for prime time on our social, I can publish it. There's some settings that you can configure to show the transcript, allow for comments. So you can kind of have this like review and approvals process. And if I open that up, I'll just grab there it is. So it'll create this dedicated URL that I can share. It looks really great in Slack too. You can play it directly in Slack. And once it's ready to listen back, it'll follow along in the interactive transcript. And let's say I'm like, actually, let's get rid of this sentence here. I can highlight it. Mention Christiana. Let's cut. Christiana will get notified she was mentioned in this project. The other cool thing is, let's say if I have a finalized version of this, I can take it and embed it in my CMS or my website, wherever it's getting hosted via an iframe. So really easy way of just going and hosting directly via this web link. And the cool thing is that when and if something needs to get updated in this video, I can go into Descript, make my update. Let's say I need to change this to 2020, 2021. I can make that update and then simply update it, and I don't have to then download and re-upload it. The web link stays the same, and the update seamlessly gets pushed to that web link. The export tab, you can do much more too. So you can export your video. And the cool thing here is that in the export option, I can export the current composition I'm in. You can also do bulk export all compositions, or you can do it by scene or even line break. Set some additional settings here. I want to get this up to high quality export, and that'll download the MP4 locally to your machine. You can export the audio only. So if I want to, I can export a WAV or MP3 or M4A version of this. You can export GIFs, timelines. So this is a good moment to stop and share that Descript can play well with others. So if you have, let's say, someone that really prefers to work in Premiere, you can kind of take it upon yourself to do that initial rough edit and then get it ready and then export a timeline. And you can, in the case of Premiere, you can get that XML. There's some other tools that we play nice with as well. And then you can also get transcripts out and subtitles too. That was a mouthful. Christiana, anything else I should mention about publishing and exporting?
No, I think you got it there. Yeah.
Awesome. Should we open it up to some questions in the last 10 minutes or so?
Yeah, let's do questions. Folks, if you have any burning questions right now, throw them in the chat and I'll sauce them over to Harmony. I've been checking out some of them as we go. I know we're getting close to time, so just a couple reminders before we jump into all these questions. This is recorded, so you'll have access to all of this even after we log off here. I just put a poll in the crowdcast, so let us know how you found this event. And yeah, that feedback is super important to us. And then of course, don't forget to get your Descript Pro for free. Scan that QR code, but also check out the follow-up email, and there will be there will be information on that. So now I'll throw these at you.
Yeah, let's go.
Okay, awesome. So there was a good question about like privacy and data in YouTube. And I know that you may get some questions like this from the enterprise folks you work with.
Yeah.
So I want to introduce the tool to our company, and I'm getting those risk questions about where's the data processing happening and can we manage it somehow? Could you answer that?
Great question. So Descript is a cloud-based app that you can download, but we also have a web version too. So almost everything I've showed you today, you can also do in your browser. Descript is SOC 2 certified, and we undergo annual pen tests as well. And we can share those reports with you, which we do all the time for customers. So shoot us an email, harmony@descript.com. We can help you out there. Also, in terms of your data, everything is encrypted at rest and in transit. We use Google Cloud Provider for storage. Everything's hosted and saved to the cloud. But if you have specific questions related to how additional questions around how data is stored and processed, let us know. Everything's stored in the US. Yeah, hopefully that gives you a quick overview, but there's obviously so much more we could cover related to security. So happy to send follow up and send you the required documentation.
Perfect. Thank you, Harmony. Awesome. I don't know what this question means, but maybe you will.
Let's try.
Can you create masks in video?
Ooh,
I think is masks a term?
is that okay? Maybe Marcelo.
Yeah, maybe our guy. Yeah. Marcelo, that's in the YouTube chat if you want to head over there and answer that. Or Luan, if you want to give us some more detail about what you're referring to, that would be great.
Oh, I see. So there's masking tricks that you can use in Premiere Pro. So if I wanted to, for example, like highlight, like select just like clip just Petra's face and make some, I think, adjustments just to that range.
Cool.
I think that's what they're getting at. But I think
Sweet.
Marcel is on that. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
face masking. Cool.
Okay, sweet. Awesome. Cool. Okay, I'm going to grab this one about Squadcast. Is Squadcast part of Descript subscription or are they separate? And there's another one that says, I currently have Squadcast. Does my current subscription come over to Descript if I subscribe to Descript? Thought maybe we could just hit those really quick.
Yeah. So if you already have a Descript subscription and you're paying also for Squadcast, you no longer have to do that. So if you're paying for Descript, you'll get Squadcast for free. Write into support@descript.com, and we'll help you get squared away. But essentially, you'll want to go into if you haven't already, go into your settings and in the subscription tab, since I'm not there we go, connect to Squadcast. And that'll take you through that process of connecting Descript to Squadcast, and then you'll no longer have to pay that second subscription. Did I get everything? Did I cover everything there, Christiana?
Yep, you hit it. And just like underlying that right now, technically, like there are still two apps, like, or you will still have two accounts at Descript and Squadcast. You have to make one of them if you don't already have one. But then you link your accounts and all of it is managed under Descript. That's how you get billed. Your settings and things like that will be through Descript. And then phase 2 of all of this, which will happen at some point next year, all under Descript. And you won't even, people in the future won't even have to make a Squadcast account. So
and you can contact, I should have clarified, through help.descript.com, reach out to us, or you can also reach out to us through the contact button here, as opposed to using support@Descript. That's the preferred method there.
Cool. Sweet. Okay, I love this. This is a more philosophical question.
Love it.
What if we don't have any editing skills? Can we still navigate on Descript, or should we learn editing first? I thought this was a really interesting question. How What's your take on that?
It's a really good question. So I can speak personally. So for myself, I've never considered myself a video editor. I've had to create a lot of training content, a lot of
Mhm.
screen recordings, a lot of voiceover slides, and um, when I first started trying to do video editing, I tried with Premiere. It terrified me, and I ran
Same.
away screaming. um, the next, I tried Camtasia, little easier, but also just not still wasn't jamming.
Yep.
And then Descript I got introduced to Descript, and I like when I finally figured out like what it was and what it could do, I'm like, man, where was this 10 years ago when I was creating like online courses and tutorials? So
Yep.
I would say Descript is not going to like make good editing choices for you, but it's going to lower the barrier to entry, allowing you to be able to quickly record, quickly edit, and do it in a way that doesn't feel painful. I actually feel like it's editing is now fun, especially like just simply by doing text-based editing and working in this canvas. Um, but Christiana, what about you?
Yeah, no, I completely agree. I do not come from a video editing background, but if using Descript equals I'm a video editor, then I'm a video editor.
Oh
Like,
yeah, big time.
yeah, like this, yeah, it's such an interesting way to phrase this. Like Descript is a really good way to get started with video editing. I think same. I opened up Adobe and I was like, this is not for me. I'm nervous. It's like Canva,
Yeah.
like I'm not a graphic designer, but man, I'm in Canva and I'm making stuff and it's totally doable. You learn it. Somebody wrote in the chat, steep learning curve, but amazing product or something like that. Once you get a couple reps in,
Mm,
um, it really starts to feel more natural. So just be patient with yourself and it'll click.
yeah. And we have a lot of great resources along the way. There's, obviously our help center, but also our YouTube channel has a ton of great content. I'll actually point out some of my favorite stuff. So if you go to Descript's YouTube channel, you've got, which some of you are probably on right now,
Yep.
Ramdy, one of my favorite people at Descript. The how-to features and workflow videos are so great. So if you're like, what the heck was Harmony saying earlier about, eye contact or creating social clips, you can go into this playlist and find the thing that you're looking for. So yeah.
Yep. Totally. Yeah, that's an amazing resource. And I also brought up the QR code for our Discord once again. There's been some chatter in the chat asking about how can I get some one-on-one support. I highly recommend the Descript Discord. We have a for hire channel where experts are offering services and classes and things like that. So definitely check out our Discord.
Oh, and
Cool.
Marcelo will be back in Discord next week for office hours.
Yes, super important to note. Marcelo does office hours on Wednesdays at 1 p.m. PT, 4 p.m. ET on Discord. Not tomorrow, but starting next week. And we also do remote recording office hours. So if you're new to Squadcast, you want to learn how to really master that tool, also join us in Discord. Those are on Thursdays at noon PT or 3 p.m. ET. Yeah, lots of offerings in there. Okay, I'm going to throw a couple more questions at you while we have time here.
Yeah.
Someone asked, when I add a slash key, so for scenes, do I need to also put an ending slash key?
Yeah. So exactly. So again, it's kind of like creating a little container. So if you want to have a new scene start here, create a slash, and then let's say if you want it to end right after TikTok, this is going to be its own scene here. Now, just that sentence, and you can always delete, scenes as you create them, add them later on in this case. So, let's reload. But yes, no problem. Just add that slash at the front and the end of where you want to create that little segment.
Awesome. Cool. And then last one I want to hit, and then we can close out. if you have both screens, will it make it that a video with screens on top of each other? And I think what they're asking about is different layers. And I was wondering if we could show just like adjusting layers and things like that really quick.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. So, for example, if I wanted to switch this to portrait mode, I could set it so that if I want Marilyn here on top, and I'll stretch her out so she's a little bigger here. And same thing with Petra. So I can set it kind of like that popular, that, sort of look here where we have the videos stacked, and then maybe we have like captions below. Yep. Kind of like that style. So yeah, you can totally adjust that in the canvas.
Awesome. Cool. And you can change like your background, you can send that to the back. If you've ever used Canva, just think about it as like stacks of paper and you're moving it around to tell your visual story.
Yep.
Okay, awesome. Well, shall we close out here? It's 2:30 p.m.
Yeah.
Harmony, thank you so much for being our host today. This was fantastic.
It's always so fun doing these with you. So yeah, anytime.
Yeah, appreciate it so much. It was a blast. Thank you everybody for sticking with us for this hour and a half. We had an amazing crowd today. Everybody was super friendly, helping each other out in the chat. I love to see that. Marcelo, thank you for being a hero as usual, answering so many questions. Just to review, join our Discord community. It's just discord.gg/Descript and you will join. That's where you can learn all about upcoming features or features we're releasing, events, if you want to see more of me and Harmony. And you can just meet a bunch of other people that are using Descript. Other than that, get your month of free pro. If that's for new users or people on the free plan, you'll get a month of free pro. And yeah, check out the Crowdcast for upcoming events. We do one about a week. And yeah, we're always looking for suggestions on events to do. So let us know what you'd like to see. And yeah, if you have any feedback, leave it in the chat. We'd love to hear from you. And yeah, this was a blast, and we hope to see you at a future event.
Yeah. Thanks so much, guys. We'll see you next time.